Now, for those of you NBA diehards, thank you for making the move with us from ESPN2 back to ESPN. This is going to be our regular home for the rest of the season. And for those of you who have been a little bit more focused on football the past couple months, well, let me catch you up on what you've missed in 90 seconds or less.
Let's see. The Sixers are fun again. No, really. James Harden is a point guard now. He's scoring like a maniac, and he's actually playing defense. No, really. Isaiah Thomas is one of the NBA's most exciting players. No, not that Isaiah Thomas. This one.
Thomas on the drive. Pull-up jumper. It's good. Isaiah Thomas.
John Wall is still very, very fast. D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young are friends again, but the Lakers are still not very good. Phil Jackson's picked up the phone calling everyone but the Prime Minister of Australia trying to deal Carmelo Anthony. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been so amazing, folks are actually learning to pronounce his name.
We're all cheering for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's,
Well, almost. Russell Westbrook is doing his best Oscar Robertson impersonation. The Grizzlies are still gritty. The Spurs are still relentless. LeBron James is still ridiculous. But he says he needs more help. One look across the country at Golden State, and it's easy to see why. Kevin Durant has fit in seamlessly there. And while Steph took a step back to accommodate him, well, he's now back to doing Steph things.
Curry has time. 3 seconds. Curry from half court. Oh! He puts it in at the buzzer.
Now, there's so much more, of course, but hey, that's why we have this basketball show. The season's just getting to the good part, so buckle up. All right, we ended that little wrap-up with the Warriors, so let's talk about the Warriors. For a team that's won 43 games already, they have managed to largely fly under the radar, except when we've had the few flare-ups like this one. This is from Saturday's loss to the Kings. KD playing iso ball, then drops it off to Draymond, who's forced to chuck it up for a three. The two players appear to have this heated exchange about it afterward. Now, last night, Draymond posted this response on Snapchat. Blah, 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 blah. That's him talking about the, quote, supposed argument they're having. And then he takes this, little sneaky picture of Durant sleeping. 1 month ago, the two got into a similar argument over the same type of play. Remember that during a loss to the Grizzlies? And guys, I do want to make clear here. No one is saying there's some big problem between these two guys. I was actually talking to Draymond about Kevin when they were here in LA the other day. They get along very well. They have a regular card game they play on the plane. There's no locker room friction. But clearly, Kareem, there is some disconnect, right, with what they are trying to do on the court. What do you see when you see those kinds of breakdowns and then them kind of jawing at each other?
Well, I think it has to do with personalities here. Draymond is kind of, he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think Kevin is a little bit more circumspect. He would rather deal with this in the locker room rather than out on the court. And I think, Draymond has to kind of put a few wraps on it because people are going to interpret this in various ways. And it doesn't mean that they're right or that there's any problem, but the way it looks could be a problem. Just appearances could be a problem. And you want to avoid all of that.
He's definitely a very demonstrative person when he expresses himself.
One word for Draymond.
Yeah. It's funny, like Kareem mentioned, if you look at how Durant is responding, we call them flare-ups, but there's only one guy who's flaring. The other guy just kind of standing there and listening and taking. The other part of it is, it's important to note that the Warriors have a very specific way they play, very unselfish. Draymond Green, for all of his antics, when he plays basketball, the right way, almost every single possession. And so when you see him talking to Durant, whether it's yelling or just speaking to him, you got to remember, Durant's coming from a system where it was get you the ball and let's get out of your way, and it's not like that anymore. And then old habits die hard. And so it's trying to kind of indoctrinate him a little bit. Remember what we're about here. Obviously, the message could be delivered with a little bit more tact, though.
I mean, you strike me as someone who would have preferred it to stay in the locker room. Did you have issues on your Lakers teams, per se, where all those big personalities really, where people were trying to kind of...
No, we didn't have that. And Magic was our leader, and especially our emotional leader, and he thought his job was to get the ball to us.
Right.
So we're not going to complain about that to each other or anything. We just want to make sure that system keeps working because it's working for everybody. Irvin enjoyed how he was playing, and we enjoyed it. We got fat off of that.
Yes. You guys did okay, I think, right?
Yeah,
Steve Kerr had his own issues in Saturday's game. He got ejected and then, well, let's just call it failing to leave the floor in a timely manner, shall we? He unleashes quite a number of profane words while assistant coach Mike Brown holds him back. Now, today the NBA fined Kerr $25,000 for the incident. Is that appropriate punishment, I mean?
Well, first of all I saw him do there is say the jump a bunch of times.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Watch
He
the
was
jump on
promoting our
ESPN.
show. The jump. That's
It's
all that
great.
came out of his mouth, really.
It's appropriate, right?
Right.
Because, again, you get ejected, you have to leave the floor. And if you're going to stick around and say something, you know, we've got cameras everywhere. Everyone's a lip reader, and it's not hard when he enunciates it as clearly as he did there. You know, you can't harass the refs, even when they get it wrong.
Right.
You can't harass the refs, much like I'm sure the refs will say when Steve Kerr gets a play call wrong, we don't all descend on him, cussing him out and pointing our finger in his face. There's a level of decorum to it, but also I would point out sometimes you got to do that to get your guys' attention.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Kareem, if your coach does something like this, if you're a player, are you kind of happy about it?
Sometimes you have no idea how satisfying it is to get it off and get it off your tongue, because you're going anyway, right?
Right.
Well, you might as well. You know, I've had a few nights like that. One time I kicked the Gatorade thing, and
You?
Oh no.
but,
Most dignified man in the NBA? Come on.
It was wonderful. I have to say that.
Whatever
It was a lot of
fines,
fun.
those fines do come from the league, and I understand
And
they were
our
different.
fines were minuscule
I was gonna say they were
compared to
different in your
what they're
day.
dealing with now. So, you know.
But did they feel worth it in the moment?
Oh, yeah, and especially in the moment. It was wonderful in the moment.
I'm sure the 25K was worth it for Steve.
Well, I'm sure
he
he can afford
gets.
it.
Yeah, he gets enough.
He's okay. I do want to talk about John Wall. He was dazzling again over the weekend. He had 25 and 14 in a win over the Pelicans, which extended the Wizards' home winning streak to 17 games. But afterward, John Wall did not celebrate. No, he did not. He set his sights on tonight's game against the Cavs. Take a listen.
Will Monday be the biggest regular season game you've played in since a member of the Wizards?
I think so. Having a 17-game winning streak at home, playing against a great team that's number one in the conference, somebody that we think we could challenge. We know it's a tough task, man. They're a great team. They're defending champs, and everybody know that they have a target on their back, and we're coming for it.
Is it on?
Yes, it's on.
It's a slightly leading question.
Yeah, just a bit, just a tad.
But he did say yes. Is he overstating it?
I mean, look, you're going to have to pay somebody to go through all the regular season games he's played to let me know if there are other ones that are they're in the conversation. I'm not going to do that kind of work. It's important. Is it the most important? Who cares? But it's important because it's a mile marker for them, a measure of success. We talk, and at least they didn't wear black to the game like they did against Boston.
This
was the dumbest thing ever.
No, this was great.
This was ridiculous. This is stupid because it's a regular season game. What do you what?
He's going to find out that how meaningless this is at the end of the season when those are the games that you have to win.
Right.
So putting all that juice and giving it all that emotional content to this game, like the brother said, it doesn't make sense.
But okay,
it's not wise.
Let me ask you guys a question. You have a franchise that has lacked edge, let's just say, for a long time, right? Where a lot of fans, a lot of people within the franchise feel every time they start to get going up that hill, they roll back down it. There has been a certain sort of toughness that has been lacking. The fact that they put themselves out there in that game against the Celtics, against a team that was above them in the standings, they really put themselves out on a limb and then paid it off. And that he's sitting here today against the biggest bullies on the block, the Cavaliers, and saying, yes, this is an important game. That's at least some edge. I'm happy to see that.
Phil Chenier is smiling somewhere.
Oh, man. I mean, look, again, we're talking about something that is like Kareem said, it's inconsequential at the end of the day. The only meaning that this game has is the Cavs are the best team in the conference, and this is a great measuring stick. How good do we think we are? Have we just been beating up on an easy schedule? Well, this is a real test here. But I will say this. John Wall is the best guard in the Eastern Conference, and not enough people are talking about it.
Wow.
I hear every day people talking about Isaiah Thomas this, Isaiah Thomas that.
Kyrie, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan.
John Wall is the best guard in this conference. He accounts for more points between his scoring and his assists than any other guard in the conference, or any other player in the conference, really, other than maybe LeBron James. Yeah. But and by the way, I stole that from John Schumer from NBA.com. So before you guys jump in my mentions, but beyond that, so he accounts for more points for his team than Isaiah Thomas does for his. But then you factor in that other side of the ball that we never talk about. When everyone's gushing over Isaiah Thomas, this guy ranks 441 out of 441 eligible people in defense in the NBA. That's bad. John Wall, on the other hand, one of the best defenders we have at the point guard position, where it's a tough night every single night. Not enough people are talking about how great John Wall is.
So have his back when he says something like that. I do. I think it's good.
I will. I'm not going to have his back when he says this is an important game because it's February.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Oh, come on. Appropriate ending for Paul Pierce.
Welcome back to The Jump. That was the Boston crowd showering Paul Pierce with love in his final game yesterday. Oh, by the way, I am Rachel Nichols here with Amin and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. By the way, we were joking watching that clip. Is that IT giving him that last shot, or is that just Isaiah's regular defense?
How can you tell the difference?
How can you tell? I don't know. But it was a nice moment, nonetheless. Kareem, what is it like when you know the way Paul Pierce does in that building right there? Your career is coming to an end, and you're having one of these retirement moments.
It's nice just to deal with the the adulation from the crowd and the fact that they appreciate your career, because it's not for that evening, it's for everything that you've done. And he had such a wonderful career there,
Oh, look at that.
led them to a world championship. No, when I was there, I remember at Boston Garden they gave me a piece of the
Floor, right?
Floor, the parquet floor. And I'd known Red Auerbach since I was 14 years old, So it was, those kind of moments are special, and you really enjoy it.
Great recruiting for Boston, right? Free agent. Well, if you come to us, well, you could have this kind of career. You could get this kind of love for the fans. We'll even let you have the last shot if you go to another team.
We'll see if it works. I mean, they've had a couple of guys had some great careers there, and yet the free agents don't come flocking in.
I'm just saying, it looked good. If I were another player, I would.
They didn't let me
think
have the last shot, though.
See, we got to talk to them about that. That rocking chair we just showed in one of the photos was kind of nice, though. That's nice. Someone gave you a rocking chair.
I wasn't in Boston.
They didn't give me that. They gave me a piece of the parquet floor.
Well, that's good to a Laker. That's a nice thing to get. It's pretty good.
We are the only team that won the world championship there, other than the Celtics.
Well, there you go.
That building.
That is something to say. Certainly, again, if you are the Lakers. Let's talk about DeMarcus Cousins. He received his 14th tech of the season on Saturday against the Warriors. If you're counting, and we're counting, people, he is now just too shy of a one-game suspension. And that could affect more than the Kings. We've been talking about any teams who might want to come and trade for Boogie. Well, of course, anyone who acquires him inherits all those T's. And the fact that Boogie would start missing games with every other tech once he hits that threshold, you're talking about maybe getting a player who would miss a lot of basketball games. Kareem, do you think that's hurting his trade value at all?
Yeah, it's gonna hurt him in that people aren't going to want to pay him as much because he's showing a lot of immaturity. They want from him. They want the points and rebounds, and he can sprinkle in some block shots, and they're going to give him a lot of money and a long career, and all the things that supposedly he's trying to prove himself at by playing in the NBA. But he's got to get it together and focus.
In an ideal world, that's how it would be, but we're living in an age where the money is plentiful and the talent isn't, and so he's going to get his money either way. As far as his trade value, to say that, this technical foul issue now is going to cause a problem for his trade value is like buying Swiss cheese and then complaining it has holes in it. Like, we kind of know. It's kind of, this is what, year 7? Well, this is pretty much who he is. This is what you're buying. Now, the buyers are going to say, we'll fix him. We can change him.
Right.
We bring him in a positive situation. Sacramento.
Look at J.R. Smith.
Right.
Look at, right?
Wherever you are, you're saying Sacramento is a crazy house. And here we've got the infrastructure.
We might be going a little bit far.
Is it? Is it? We have a whole segment built around them being a soap opera with music and everything. It's not that far off.
It's great music. I really like it.
I do love the music. But, yeah, so I just think that whoever's going to strike a deal for him, that's not going to sway them. That's not going to scare them off.
I don't know. I mean, the idea that he could actually start missing every other game, though. That's
Phil called it a cow town.